Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network. I'm tongue-tied today. It's been a day. 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been a part of our journey for the last several years. So thank you, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, a.k.a. Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, for the contribution of his music, his voice, and his time for the intro you just heard. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thank you, Steve McGinnis, the artist. Oh, God, can't I speak today? The artist behind the logos here at the show. My gosh, check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the horror and Halloween genre, but does phenomenal commission pieces of every type. All right. Technical stuff is done with, thank gosh. I've only said it, I don't know, thousands of times at this point. But anyway, I've really been looking forward to tonight's show because, as you know, we do all kinds of things. We really do. And my first love, of course, is always energy work. And this is something that, we're going to get to talk about. So tonight we have the amazing Rosanna RozyGlow Hanness. Hopefully I got your last name proper because, I'm French. So it could go either way. But anyway, she is, the brains behind StarPeace, a vision for peace on Earth. We're going to talk about starseeds. We're going to talk about why we're here. We're going to talk about consciousness. We're going to talk about awareness, awakening, all kinds of incredible things that we've talked about here and there on the show. But this is going to be wrapped up in one really phenomenal package. So without further ado, the lovely RozyGlow. Hello.
Hello. It is RozyGlow. How you doing?
Oh, I'm okay. A bit tongue-tied tonight, but otherwise all right. But 2 a.m. for you, so you're a champion. Thank you for being here.
I'm so wide awake. It's Lionsgate. It's fine. I would be awake anyway right now.
I'm grateful. I'd say we have some people who come in from the UK and they're here. I'm just like, you guys are like amazing. So hello. Just hi, guys. Hello. Facebook. There we are. Hi, Joe. Wait. Other people will be chiming in soon, and then we're gonna have a lot of fun. So tonight, I often get segments where I could just talk fully about energy work and consciousness and starseeds. Like, what are we doing here? What do we, the sense of longing that we feel being here, longing for maybe someone else who didn't come around this time or something else, another home, another time. I think a lot of us go through that. And you seem to have found a way to be able to put all this together in a time where I think it needs to be all brought together.
Yeah, I call myself a generalist specialist or a specialist generalist, when it's kind of like, enough, not too little to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, but enough to have had your mastership in different areas and to see things and go, whoa, am I the only person seeing this? And it took me ages to own it, but it did culminate in the book. A very simplistic blueprint that in the end reduces everything down to what I feel are universal principles. So where we can all agree, that's where we can find peace.
I love it. So I think we'll start off. Joe, she is from the UK. Yes, there we go.
My blood is Greek, actually, but I was born in England, so this is where my mission is on.
Oh, I love Greece. I've been to Greece. I've been to UK. I have lineage in UK and family in UK and many friends, and I just love being able to travel, the world and just enjoy all of it. And I love the UK. It's just
Where
always
do you
been.
love? Whereabouts are your family?
I'm not sure where they're actually at right now because I'm not real versed in all the different places. But I mean, my lineage goes back, well, goes back to William the Conqueror. Can you really count him?
Yes,
Since he
kind
was
of.
French. The king who ruled, and my grandfather always used to talk about, the only king who ruled England for 20 years and never stepped foot there. I'm like, does it count? So I don't know if we can actually count that, but
I reckon you can definitely somehow make that work. For sure.
yeah, somehow we could kind of fit him in there. It's like
Yeah.
almost like kind of, getting like a square piece and putting it in a round puzzle. But anyhow, so why don't we start off with humble beginnings? I mean, what led you on your path on the way to creating this incredible movement of yours? Can we even call that a movement? Is it just it's a vision?
Yeah, it's an embryonic movement at this point, although it was seeded 5 years ago. So, I mean, if you want me to go right back to my origins, we're going to be here for a few days, so we'll leave that. But I think with this, I got, and it's interesting, we're talking about spooky times, but obviously a few years ago, we were all in the thick of a huge fear detox. We can just call it that, right? And all sorts of things happened we didn't expect.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling, very much like I had been called to action. So, it'd be great if we get into talking about soul purpose and stuff as we go, because I really believe that we have different levels of soul purpose. And when you complete a mission, it leads you to another. So I feel like this is my 5th iteration. I've kind of gone from deep longing to be a mother from the age of 8 that led to my beautiful daughter coming into my life when I was 22. And then from there, very quickly getting into pregnancy yoga and becoming like a fertility and pregnancy and birth and early parenting and postnatal recovery and trauma and epigenetic trauma specialist, mainly through yoga. But I was working a lot with midwives and doctors and yoga teachers and parents and training them in these positive intervention methods. And this kind of led me to always feeling like when you're working with a pregnant woman, it's a bit late because she's only caring about the pregnancy and the baby at that point. And so many of the things that could be prevented and stop us repeating the same old stories again and again and again have to be looked at really in our relationship with ourselves and then the partners we choose, and whether we clear sexual shame and birthing shame and all of that kind of thing. And that led me into then discovering my phenomenal teacher, who I really want to honor, Susanna Kennedy. And she came, I found her in Bruce Lipton's book, The Honeymoon Effect. So huge fan of Bruce. I was very, very lucky to interview him myself on my YouTube channel. And that interview kind of cemented what I knew was what the book was about, what StarPeace was about, and how to really put it out there, which led to this 3-pronged formula for peace, which we'll talk about a bit later. And all of this really, I went into emotional mental detox coaching, and I had been like, I was a typical starseed, born into dysfunction, self-aware, very young age, kind of going, what is going on here? This is crazy. What am I doing here? Why? Everyone looks sick. Like everyone's heavy and miserable. And why? What is happening? And that kind of led to a real desire to go home as a teenager and, really feeling unhappy. But that led me to rebirthing. And it started, my journey was when I was around 14 years old. So all of this kind of took me to a place where in the end, I've now, I had all this horrific relationship background where I kept attracting Mr. Unavailable, uncommitted, not that interested, always struggled with money, full of like addictive tendencies. And, this was my 20s and my 30s. And somehow, even though all of that was going on, and this is the dark and the light, right, coming together, never giving up, just keep bringing the light to the shadow. I learned through Bruce's work how you know, we're just programmed to keep repeating the same old record until we change the record, the programming, right? So this led me into coaching and having a real success with the work I did after I got together with my absolutely phenomenal husband, and all my dreams came true personally, if that makes sense. Because that until your personal dreams are really fulfilled, we're kind of creating from an empty space, right? And we do learn and we feel ourselves through it. But there was something really different that happened when it felt like my personal life landed and all of those little goals happen. And it was like, I'm happy in myself. I'm happy in my relationship. I'm happy in my life. I feel really good. Was teaching that to others. And then bam, all this stuff happened, obviously in 2020. I think everyone knows what we're talking about. We're time on our own. And it was after an address from our Prime Minister on Halloween, actually. It was on Halloween, on the 31st of October. I remember going to bed just going, what is this all about? This is insane. Because I knew from the start it was off. I felt like the kid in The Emperor Has No Clothes On, just pointing it out and going, why isn't people, no one's seeing this? So fear detox had been a big part of my life, and I felt I could see through what was going on, which was a real help, right? And StarPeace was born through a booming voice in my head that woke me up that morning and basically said to me, RozyGlow, Star Wars is over. It's time for StarPeace. In our universe, the light has won. Go forth and spread this message. And I remember thinking, what was I smoking last night? What did I drink? What the frig is happening? Because I'm now hearing voices, right?
Yeah.
And that really then started a year of denial, like I'm not dealing with this, to then going, hold on, this is a new mission. And it's taken 5 years to go through all of the initiations to produce the book. There's cards coming, star maps that got birthed, a whole consciousness movement around a manifesto, because it's like we need to have an aim for something, right? It's all well and good for us to say what we don't want, but until we use our imagination to start creating what we do, nothing new is going to happen. The world is created through our consciousness. So that's how it started.
Wow. Yeah. How do you follow that up? I'd like to start with starseeds, because many people, come here as starseeds. Many people have no idea what that is. They have no idea what they're doing here. But it's this sense of, maybe the sense of longing, or the sensing of, should I say, needing to belong and to have an idea, what is expected of me? How do I connect to my consciousness? How do I come into finding out what my calling is? How do I get to the calling? Is it through, an awakening? How do I find that balance? Like, there's a whole slew of things we can talk about, especially I mean, anywhere you want to go, let's just go. But let's start with starseed, so people have an understanding. What is it? Is everybody a starseed? Is it select few? Whoever you want to take it.
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? One of my favorite sayings is, it's not either or, it's and this and more, because you'll have as many people say one thing as another. And as I said a minute ago, we're co-creating our reality. So I can share with you my perspective on starseeds. And this is part of what I did in the book, was create a glossary based on what I understand. So at least we're starting on the same page, because often we're talking about this, we're using the same word but meaning very different things, right?
Yes.
So for me, a starseed, do I believe we're all starseeds? Yes. Are all humans starseeds? That's another question. But are all souls starseeds? Yes, absolutely, because obviously we're all stardust, right? A starseed, as I see it, is a physical being in this dimension, so on Earth, who has plugged in to their soul consciousness and turned it on. So has a connection to beyond their own conditioning and their survival programming. I also see a starseed typically, well, the way I've described them in the book is we are highly evolved souls. And that's not a hierarchy. It just means we've had lots more lifetimes than other souls. We've learned through experience the hard way.
Yeah. The hard learners.
The hard learners, the karma build up, all the stuff we've done. But we've come to a place in ourselves where we have incarnated enough times to have come into a frequency of unity, to be able to live in the frequency of peace. That's not a static state, because it's like a constantly dynamic song, right? An orchestra, a symphony that's moving and changing all of the time, but it's that synergy within us. And to me, it part of the way that we grow into that consciousness is we do service, right? And the service is to go to planets, to worlds where they haven't quite got there yet, and to help the beings on that planet, in that wherever they are, right, to be able to come into that space, so to evolve. And that's, you know, we've seen that a bit in Star Trek and that kind of thing, and it's beyond the more archaic systems. So I feel on this planet at this time, those of us who recognize ourselves as star seeds are born with like an inbuilt GPS of, I have a mission, I need to know what my mission is. From very early in our lives, we're like, this world doesn't make sense. And we're trying to make sense of the world through our extrasensory perception. And we feel people. So star seeds are empaths. I don't know one star seed that's not an empath, right? But how it expresses can be different. And that's just my experience, and I've seen it. Some will identify as highly sensitive people, right? Maybe not an empath. Light workers. But there's this inbuilt sense of, I have a purpose, I have something to do, I'm purpose driven. And typically we're born into really challenging early life circumstances. The star seeds in the next generation won't be, but our generation, there's a lot of Gen X star seeds, by the way. And
speaks volumes right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've had baby boomers and light workers. There's so many people that have done great stuff. So I don't know to go what's already available and you can read. But from my understanding, it's like we held the call to come onto the volunteer mission here on Earth. And what part of what you do is your test is to forget your mastery. So you've already evolved beyond the issues that you choose your family to incarnate into. It's like they have similar karmic stories and family patterns that you've already evolved beyond. And so you test yourself through the cloak of amnesia, of arriving, and then seeking, well, to remember your mastery through seeking to heal the crap, the trauma that you inherit, right? So, like I said, I mean, I feel very strongly, like I gave you the example of the fact that I had such a longing to have a child from the age of 8. And I thought I was going to have like loads of kids. I was the total mother energy until I had my beautiful daughter. And then I was like, whoa, what's this? Yeah, and it was literally job done. Like I never felt broody again. But she set everything up. Hey, Karen! Good to see you. Basically, yeah, the whole thing with it is usually it's your trauma story that will trigger your mission memory. That's how I see it. But many star seeds get stuck in the trauma story and buy into the illusion of their human narrative to the extent sometimes that they never actually fully actualize the mission, because they buy into the idea that it's an outside in job rather than an inside out job. Have you read the book ET 101 by it's a little book. It's so cool. I'll send you a link to it. But it's like that started me off on this. And between that and my teacher, Susanna, so I read that when I was 24 and then kind of came back into all of this at 34. And at 40, I was like saying to my teacher, have you read this book? She was like, no. I was like, well, you've been teaching me everything in it. So it's such confirmation, right? Have I answered the starseed question? Would you like to?
Yeah. Well, Wayne is asking, is the starseed the same as a star child? He's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, beautiful segue. So let's look at the fact that we've evolved from an era of matriarchy on this planet, right? And our brains try to understand all of this, but we can't. This is ancient knowledge in these bones and in these skin suits, but our soul is eternal. So it is a little bit of conflict between the two. And we have to remember that. It's never going to fully make sense. The matriarchal era was governed by the moon. The patriarchal era was governed by the sun. And now we're coming into the era that my dear client, I'll always mention her, Sarah Wadsworth, coined, called the era of uniarchy, which is the era of the divine child, the star children. And some identify as crystal children, indigos, rainbow children, all of these terms. I remember it was Doreen Virtue that brought a lot of that forward for us. It's all what we're talking about. It's basically connected to your soul human, right? Light being.
Yes. Yes. It's funny. I have an elderly friend who's done energy work for at least 50 or 60 years. And I remember when I met him probably about 6 years ago, he said then, because he also does planetary energy work, very, very gifted individual. And he said, the next generation coming, of star seeds, he goes, they're going to be exceptional. He goes, they're not going to need, they're coming here basically already with the knowledge of what it is they have to do. They're not going to have to learn the same way we are. And I'm just like, huh. But with what you're saying, with the Gen Xers, it makes me think that the 60s and all the flower children, should already enlightened in so many ways. Should have been like a walk in the park, flower power and love and light and
But they had so much trauma there was so much epigenetic buildup to try and deal with that there was a lot of numbing out, right? And a lot of the things that were meant to be liberating were actually incredibly imprisoning, right? Even contraception, like the pill made us all like, woo, I can have sex.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, shit, I've now got hormonal dependency and all the stuff that goes with it, right? So
yes,
everything helps, everything hinders, and every age has had its like higher octave and lower octave moments. So I was saying before about purpose is your pain will lead you to your healing, obviously. And yes, the next gen star seeds are meant to be coming through humans who have unified their inner masculine and feminine and cleared the buildup of what is so many generations of fear of giving birth, which is huge because you carry a baby all that time in that fear. It's not good. And it's really sad that in today's day and age, although we think, oh, we've got this new technology and modern medicine, we're actually really traumatizing our children without needing to. We could, even if you kept the medical system as it is, you could take children or babies and their mothers and make sure they've done repair work to stop the legacy of unprocessed stuff happening precognitive. Forgive me if I go on a tangent here, just bring me back.
No, that's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
And actually really bring them to the place where they don't need to keep holding it. And that's what we're learning to do, to clear in real time, so we don't have this build-up of legacy, right? Of trauma legacy. And it's doable. This is a big part of why I wrote the book, was to bring the knowledge and wisdom I've learned for years of being involved in birth work, having had a 4-day labor myself, right? And the pain and the frustration that fear and malpositioning brings in, right? And just know we have it. We have the capacity to clear all of this. And when we do, it's one of the fundamental shifts that happens in our brain and nervous system circuitry that we get wired to thrive rather than survive. That's why it's so important.
The frustrating part is coming here with amnesia. What's more frustrating is the fact that, powers that be want to keep it that way.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? This is the thing. I feel that it's interesting, isn't it? That our consciousness brings us to a place where things are kind of, this world at the moment, it's almost like everything's stacked against you, right? The conditioning is, you're screwed from the moment you're born.
Right? Truth. Yeah.
And even before that. But here now, and I just wanted to say, look, we're in this Lionsgate portal. As we're speaking, we're co-creating. I've got crystals all around me. I've got the mandala for tomorrow's event right here. And it's like we get to imagine a new reality into being right now, just through us identifying the problem and then exploring solution. And if we just lived like that, friggin' out, so many things would change.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's skip let's skip ahead for a minute because you mentioned your event. I want to concentrate a little bit on that. I don't want to just give you 5 minutes at the end of the show. So, of course, there's the Lionsgate portal tomorrow, right? 8/8, August the 8th, which, 8 being infinity. So this is manifestation. This is a time to put it out there and try to connect to perhaps its reality, its consciousness. And now you're going to do this event. Are you going to concentrate on that a little bit and just trying to bring people together with, because apparently this is like a really big deal. I mean, this happens every year. So I'm kind of, people are messaging me and I'm going, it happens every year.
Why is it such a big deal?
But it's interesting that so many people are actually interested in it. I mean, every year, as the first I've had people actually message me saying, okay, this is a big deal. I'm like, okay.
Well, it's becoming a bigger deal. This is what I'm saying. It's become a bigger deal, and it's going to continue to be a bigger deal because we're in the second half of the birth canal of the age of Aquarius, right? So back in 2012, really think the birth started, and it's said to go on till 2032. I mean, I'm seeing quite a lot of negative predictive type stuff going on channels at the moment. It's like, oh, another 15 years of hell. It's like, no. That's put out there. That's designed to keep us here. Right. So ultimately, what I feel, if people don't really know much about Lionsgate, is it's an astrological alignment. It happens every year. I was due to be born on the 8th of August. I was born on the 12th, and this is the main corridor.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, I was born for this.
This is mine.
Yeah. No one else is allowed to do anything.
That's right.
My baby.
Right.
But the thing with it is, what is said in simple terms is it's a very powerful manifesting time because we've got Sirius aligning with Alcyone, which is the galactic central sun and the Pleiades. Our sun and soul chakras, and it's like the gates of heaven open. If I see it on a more sort of like scientific level, you say, okay, it's a strong photon stream. This is a time of year where solar flares, solar storms, Schumann resonance. I mean, anyone who's sensitive, oh my goodness, this is the first year I've realized that when the solar storms are huge, and please, anyone else that this is hitting you, let me know. When they're flaring, when the storms are big, the Schumann resonance rises, and I am gobbledygook. This might be what you were experiencing earlier as well. Can't get your words out. No logic. Like we're really in our right brain. Sorry, not left.
Yeah.
And it's a download moment and an upload moment, right? So we in the northern hemisphere have been having wave after wave of galactic light moving through because we're becoming lighter beings. Those who are here to stay on this planet and restore the Paradise Earth Code, and I'm very happy to talk about that if you want, and live the reality of peace on Earth, we've chosen to live in unity. So there's a bifurcation going on the planet. I'm sure others have talked about it, where those who want to keep living in struggle and duality and war and conflict are kind of taking themselves off to another place to do that. And those of us who want to live in harmony and balance are having to find our way between humanity, nature, and technology, which is why AI is very interesting.
There we go.
Yay, that's it. Thank you for putting that.
Takes me a while, but I'm there.
You're doing much better than me.
It's been a day. I'm trudging.
And this year it is 889 because last year the numerology of the year was 2024, so it vibrated to 8, and we get that I think every 13 years, if I'm right, which the next one is going to be in 2033, right?
Wow.
11 years, of course. So when that happens, it's like Lionsgate on cosmic steroids. And last year we got invited, that my guides for the StarPeace Collective said those who want it are being offered 1,000-fold expansion of their energy field and therefore impact in this world as starseeds, as light workers. And those of us who heeded the call got this massive upgrade. This year, our light bodies have to stabilize in that frequency so we can hold it, because we are reactivating the codes that are in the crystal grid of this planet that have been here forever, right? That are the Paradise Earth codes. And we're bringing down the StarPeace codes. Like, everyone knows what StarWars is, right? So the opposite of that is the game has changed. And I'll go into that later. But for Lionsgate, we have such a powerful manifesting portal. It's you literally want to be present with everything. What do I want for myself? What do I want for the world? And what people are typically experiencing is lots of purging of old stories, old emotion. We've got 5 planets retrograde at the moment. So Saturn's doing the rounds, karmic payback, loads of things happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 1 minute you're in your new reality, having the time of your life. And the next minute you're facing a whole load of crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so to bring yourself into harmony and unify all the different aspects of your being, this is the time of year to let the light come in and shine where there is misalignment, to bring it into alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So Lionsgate is the perfect time to get really, like, as you get with the new moon in Leo, it's like, what do I want for myself?
Mm-hmm.
If I give from a full cup, what's going to make me feel full? How much more money do I need? How much more time? How many more clients? How much more love? Like, what needs to change in my life so I feel fulfilled? And you've got that first part of the Leo season to anchor that. And then the second part is like, we're coming into Aquarian full moon energy. So we're drawing out this wounded aspect of the personal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're coming into universal. So Lionsgate is like when you have all of your star families, all of your guides literally going, gifts galore, are you ready to receive? But you have to have a container to receive. If you don't prepare yourself, you're not, it can pass you by and you don't even know it's happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So lots of star seeds are waking up to it. And what I'm doing tomorrow is hosting an online live event at the time when the Lionsgate is at its peak, which is 8:08 p.m. Universal Time. That's Greenwich Mean Time. In the US, it's like between 11 a.m. and 2-3 p.m. in the afternoon, depending on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just 2 hours online. It's like $20, and it does bring you into a monthly membership with me, where I gather people every full moon for us to co-create in real time a new reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, people can cancel whenever they want. There's no thing on that, but there's the opportunity tomorrow is for us all to, like, you got a clear quartz, you got an amethyst, you got a crystal, you're into crystals, great. You're not, that's cool too. We're working with the principles of the 3-pronged formula for peace, which is in the book. And we're bringing movement and sound and intention and gratitude together to have some fun, unify our energies, clear out the stuff. So we're bringing the light in, and then we're channeling it through our crystals into the crystalline grid. And I pre-recorded a meditation last year. I'll be playing live, which we get to just lie down and receive. It's got healing codes, a whole load of guided visualization. And those of us who have got some form of like healing modality and we want to channel to the grid, we can. Those who want to receive, do it, because you're receiving for the world. So you get to just be in the energy you want. And I'm intending, because it's those star seeds who have this soul mission, the StarPeace soul mission, we all have different roles to play. But there's a lot of conscious creatives, a lot of social art activists, a lot of star seeds, obviously, but visionaries that are getting caught up in, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. It's like, no, your role is to hold the vision and unite with others to hold the vision. And the reason that peace was declared in our universe was because all of the galaxies that wanted peace chose to unite, to like put their differences aside and unite towards a common goal rather than an enemy, right? And because they unified, there was such discord amongst those that didn't partake, that's how the balance in our universe shifted. And it's literally the first time I know of as a soul where this universe has shifted into unity consciousness. So it's changing form, right? And that is being reflected here. But for us to do it here, all the light leaders who've got their own thing going on, it's like, I've got this and I've got that. Let's unify. Let's put our differences aside. This doesn't mean we'll do the same thing, but we're in allegiance. We're allies. That's how you create a different game.
Yeah, I think it's important. See, this is where it gets technical for some people, because they think that they're here because they need to fix the old world, as opposed to being here to build a new one. trying to figure out, what is my mission? Am I rebuilding, or am I starting anew? For those who are yet to come, and for the rest of us who are already awakened to that point where we're aware, and to work together, because otherwise you either live in this sense of fear, or you live in the sense of creation.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe a way to look at this is that we all have, like I said before, stages of our journey, right? So in my sort of my explanation of the different roles in the book, I talk about there being system busters, who are like the indigos, bringing the old world down through basically standing up. I don't want to say against, because when we get into against, we get into duality. When we fight, we're in duality. When we say no to something, we're in duality. But by going, hey, I'm drawing a line here and saying, this is where I stand.
Yeah.
This is not something I resonate with. So I'm bringing the resonance into a higher frequency. And it's us owning our power that changes things. It's not changing things on the outside. This doesn't mean we didn't need to do what we did before. There was a time to fight. Right. There was a time for all the stuff that's happened till now. Right? But now, if we want to have the experience that we're calling in, we have to change our way, our frequency. So system busters, energizers, builders, and architects. There's 4 archetypes, and I believe we're all moving through them at some level.
Yes. I think that's the tough part, is for people to find their place.
The place right now. Because right now, if you've got a load of anger in you, for example, it's going to make sense that you could channel it by being violent and aggressive and abusive to yourself, to others, to the world, or you could, channel it. And there's an interesting thing around creativity, but using your voice, being someone who's a champion for something, right, rather than against, just helps us to metabolize it and transmute it. But there's a lot of well-meaning, beautiful human beings, souls that are fighting for change, which is just so freaking ironic, right? Because it's like we just need to be the change, right? And it's the way we show up. So when we ask the question, what is my purpose? Our pain will lead us to it. Let's use an example of musicians, right? So I used to sing. I'm not a very great guitarist, but I wrote a lot of songs. And the thing is, I stopped singing when I was 24. And the reason I did that was because I could have written an album with every ex-boyfriend's name. That was the story. Like, you broke my heart.
The Cry Me a River series. Yeah. Right.
Even then, I was kind of like, okay, I'm putting this out into the world. I used to love the song Total Eclipse of the Heart. I mean, you feel this power, right? But what are you energizing? And it's not that there isn't a place for it, because you have to be able to meet something to change it. But it's when you wallow in it that's the problem, right? So conscious, creative artists, I work with a lot of them, and I'm like, right, use your art to take people from pain to pleasure, from the problem to the solution. Identify, meet them where they are, and take them on the journey. That's what your book, your album, your movie, your TV series must be about. Otherwise, you're just projecting the pain into the collective, and that's where we stay stuck.
So in saying that, it's interesting because, you speak of the roles of the entertainment industry, which seems to be, for the most part, the other way. The subliminal messages, the symbolism, like it's pretty dark when you really know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
It's a pretty dark place. And this is what people absorb every single day.
They're passively, I love entertainment. I love nothing more than the end of the day, lying on sofa with my beloved and watching something cool. Yeah. And you know the difference between when something's enlightening you and when it's drawing you down, right? Or we do if we've got that awareness.
But not always. I mean, my kids used to watch Disney. And then as an adult, I'm going, I never saw that freaking stuff in Fantasia. What the hell? Like, once you see it and you know it, you can't go back.
Exactly. And everyone has that moment. And that's what we're meaning about soul's evolutionary journey, right? You can't be switched on until you're switched on. It's a journey.
Right.
So the more of us choose, though, not to deny what we see, the faster it is for everyone else.
Mhm.
And everything, I'm going to be very careful how I say this, everything that's been used against us, we can actually use the other way. And we need to wake up to that and remember our power and stop going, and go, how can we make this work for us?
Mhm.
There's loads of potential. I call it positive brainwashing, and I'll leave it there.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I'm with you, sister. Completely. I'm completely on the same page with that. I think, and you touch on something else. It's like the deck is stacked against us. I mean, not even just with that. People talk about, okay, let's just talk about what's might be in the food. Calcifying the pineal gland, just things that are. We come here with all of these incredible abilities, like telepathy, we can do like psychokinesis, out of body experiences at will. We could do so many incredible things, but it's almost like we are a species. I said piece, we're race with amnesia. And sometimes people just never get it back. How do you find that when you have people who are constantly, you know, working against you?
Yeah, I hear that. And I feel like this is the most empowering place we can go with that, is actually to put yourself in the space of the creator and say, well,
Mhm.
every day I say my I am statements. I say, I am the creator of my reality. I am the creation. I am a multidimensional being of love and light. I
Mhm.
am all that is. So if I take those words, I go, all right, I've chosen to incarnate into this world that looks like it's stacked against me. There's
Mhm.
this battle between good and evil. And
Mhm.
it seems like everything is trying to stop me to remember the power I have.
Mhm.
Oh, no. I've come to this level in my consciousness where I can see it. Wow.
Mhm.
Because this is part of, this is why are we here? I mean, you asked that question. Well, again, my simplistic view is we were all part of the ocean of love. We
Mhm.
didn't know we were until we chose to separate. And the moment you separate through your free will, you want to go back. It's like, God, what am I doing? Right? This is not so
Right.
fun on my own. I can do what
Right.
I want, but I have no comfort. I keep creating things that hurt me. There's a difference between being guided by, how can I put it? All that isn't saying this is good and this is bad. That's religious indoctrination, right?
Mhm.
Isn't saying that. Our inner God self. My husband hates the word God, by the way, but like I don't have a problem with it because I was never heavily indoctrinated.
Mhm.
So how do we do it? Well, it's part of the journey to remember you're not actually a victim, even though it seems so much like you are. And I'm
Are-
talking about
Yeah,
those.
people feel picked on.
Yeah, people feel picked on, and
Yeah.
we're having a very different conversation if we are in a country that isn't currently got bombs going over us, right? And so I'm just saying that to say,
Mhm. Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
privileged to be having this conversation now.
Yes.
Because when you're in a fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, you just need to get out of danger quick, right?
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
real.
Mhm.
But for us, our dangers are mainly imagined dangers that we keep recreating because we focus on them all the time, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And we do have a choice whether we watch that TV or we put something on that we want to, that's consciously chosen. We have a choice what we put our eyes on. Unless you're in a torture chamber where someone's like, bombarding you with horrendous messages, which you could say we are, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Yes.
again, it's a flipping perception, right?
Mhm.
It's a
Mhm.
flipping perception that says, where's my freedom in this space where I feel I'm powerless?
Mhm.
And I'm not saying this in a glib way. I've been through a lot in my life, right? We're not going to go into personal stories now, but
Yes.
to
Of
have
course.
faced a lot of struggle and hardship. And
Mhm.
it's not like I was born into a charmed life. That's not been the story,
Yeah.
right? So it's how do we get to the point that we stop living the pain story? We decide to let it go, to stop energizing it, to
Mhm.
make peace with it, to give thanks for the fact that we're here now, and then to decide what we're going to do from this moment.
Mhm. Can you overcome, again, what people don't often realize, because We don't have enough stacked against us, but now we have to deal with, karma, ancestral karma, and so on. So because like, come on. So,
I know. For years I was like, I'm so done with dealing with my dad's. Like, when you have someone's name, and so I took my husband's name on because I was like, it means grace. I'm going to take that. I want that now. Done with you.
Yeah.
It can feel like there are times. The other day, and I have just started a series on my YouTube channel called Raw Rozy Confessions of a Light Leader, and obviously it's on that place. It's not going to be that raw, but we'll take it elsewhere.
Right.
However, the point of this is about the difference between your soul consciousness and your human consciousness. I'm Greek. I'm like, I go from 0 to 100 like that. Like the noise that comes out of me when I'm triggered, right? And it's having the respect to own you are not just one part of you, and being okay with that.
Mm-hmm. That's a tough one. I've had spirits even communicate with me, and I'm asking like a question because I genuinely want to know, and I hear things like, "Stop it! You know this. You know this." No, I freaking don't know it. I wouldn't be asking. You know this. Stop it. I won't. Then you turn into this chop. I won't stop it. Tell me.
And is it spirits, or is it your higher self going, come on, remember this, you know this?
Yeah, well, I have like communication devices, so it's definitely not my higher self. I could tune in. When I tune into my higher self, the questions are just like, or the answers, whatever it is I'm supposed to know, it's like before I can even think about it, it's there. So I'm just like, okay, but I have had incredible pieces of equipment built, and I like to test them different places and test the boundaries, so to speak, and some of them are very unique, and and I'll say blah 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 because I'm in test mode, blah blah blah, and it's constant. It's constant. This. Stop it. You know it, and then you hear them go, stop it. Am I being chastised?
Do you ask them who they are?
Well, no, not always, because there are times where I am asking to speak maybe with, my guides or so on. Like, again, remember, like I'm in testing. I get something done, I test it. I will test it in different environments. I will test it. The planets are lined up a certain way. It's my investigative, logical mind that just needs to figure it out, because my psychic self, yes, it's easier, but I want to work with the technology as well. And I've had incredible results in doing so, with incredible validations, whether it be psychically or whether it's just things that surface from people involved, or, who don't even know they're involved, come to be involved. Like, we live in an incredible universe. I really want to start off by saying that, people will often think, oh God, it's just a raw deal. We live in a really incredible universe. And when the creator put this all together, when source and brought it, we do have that ability to be close to source, but you do just have to awaken to it and be aware of it. And you have to raise your frequency or your vibration. We can't expect something so magnificent to make its way down to us.
Yeah, exactly. And as you're talking, I was just thinking about the 3 to 5D bridge, and how 4D, as I understand it, is like the realm of the mind and also the realm of the astral plane. And if we do go on the basis that I am the creator of my reality, and also, as we change our view of the world around us changes. That changed my life, that statement, right? And I think I was 20, 21 when I heard it, and I was like, oh wow, you mean I can have a different experience if I look for something different? And to me, it's like we're learning as we tap into these psychic powers we have, all of our extrasensory perception, we can kind of hook in at different levels, right? So your investigative nature is kind of like really in the upper realms of the 4D, all the dimensions, all the astral plane's huge, right? You can go up, you can go down. It's like,
I want it all, Rosanna. I want it all.
Exactly. But the point is, it's just one plane, although there's several layers within it.
Yeah.
And if you go into your heart and sort of, I work with the highest self in the sense that surrender attachment to the highest good and the win-win-win. So it's almost like you have infinite potential,
Mm-hmm.
you have a million timelines plus to choose from, but you're saying get rid of every potential except the one that is the most graceful, easy, and joyful way of me fulfilling my soul mission. That's the only one I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you collapse everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And not many souls want that at this stage, because it depends on the stage, you know, to hand over in that way to the you that is incarnated all these times. You're not handing over to someone outside, it's
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
But we all have to go through the it's like exploring your edges. Everything you're excited about is bringing another bit of your soul mission
Mm-hmm.
into your present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, anything you tune into, you will find evidence of anything. So why don't we like really be aware of that and decide if we really want to go exploring in the dungeons? Do we want to bring things up? Maybe we need that experience.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we eventually learn, like, you know, I'll take it back to toxic love stories, because I think many of us suffer with this. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I learned I didn't need to go on the second date with that total dickhead.
Yeah.
To find out, right? You just go, you know what? That doesn't lead good places. Let's leave that.
And then there are those who, like, you know, 20 years later, oh my God, I should not have done that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you go back to remembering not only who you are, what your purpose is, but how to work as one, as a collective? Because strength in numbers, collective consciousness, you know, like working as one. I mean, I've one message that has always been clear, and just, you know, first time I fired up one piece of equipment would be, you know, like I said, I love technology, but the first thing they said was, we are you, you are us, we are one.
Yes.
Right. And that's coming in. And I just went, oh, see right there. I like who this person is, or this individual, this being.
Yeah.
And it made me realize at that point is that we have to work as one.
Yeah.
But up here,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, up here, and also integrate down there, because every shadow has light, every light has shadow.
Mm-hmm.
But when you bring the shadow and light into a direct relationship, the light will penetrate the dark. The shadow will not have the same impact on the light as the light on the dark, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It changes it forevermore. A black room, as in a darkened room with no light, the moment you put it in, it changes.
I think you just need to understand. You need to understand it, though, but you don't have to stay there. At least for me. Yeah, for me, I need the balance.
And I'm exactly the same. I mean, I do not walk the bung bean hippie living part. I dance with my shadow all the time. I love it. We're here to live in this physical life. Come on, give it to me. Where's my glass of wine? I know not everyone's there, and that's fine. And yeah, hangovers hurt, right? But I'm fortunate that I can pull myself back from edges that might not be true, right?
Same, yeah. You just don't get stuck.
No. For those who do, we have to make stronger boundary decisions to avoid the things that really do set us off, right? That's just responsible, right? It comes with maturity on a soul level. So how do we do it? Okay, well, let's start with the first community. The community that brings oneness into being is the 50 trillion cells in here.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're all going to war for peace, right? We're missing the point that when we and when we choose to meet our, I don't want to swear, but when you bring your hands together in front of your heart, you're basically saying, I am uniting all opposing forces within me. I am choosing to surrender to love. When I choose my foundation to be love and peace, the way I see the world is different. Now, when I recognize conflict in the world out of me, that's a reflection of conflict inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a lot easier for me to deal with this inner conflict, which means meet my shadow, meet my anger, meet my pain, meet my projection, meet my self-loathing, meet my confusion, meet my doubt and depression and anxiety with compassion, with love, neutralize the judgment. I mean, I'm doing the theory here. I take people through a whole program around this, right? It's not, we can't just think it into being. It starts there, but there is a whole process of letting all the bits of you catch up that resist the change you're talking about, right? You know, we get very concerned about someone else's backyard without actually having looked at ours, right?
So that's usually the way. It's conditioning, I believe, as well.
It is, and if you're brought into a world, even in your time in the womb, where mum and dad talk about how much they hate this and how much they don't like this, and whatever the story is, but there's a position, there's these people are good, these people are bad, right? That's coming in before you've even consciously learned that that's being programmed into you. So you're going to hate this person and love this person just because your mum did. Your dad did, because if your mum's physiology says, oh, Granny Mary, I love her, you're going to love her. You get a good vibe from her, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't like her, it's a different story. So I often say to people, who you think you are is who you've been programmed to be. That's not who you are, right? If you really want to know who you are, look at what you love about yourself and what you don't love about yourself. And remember, none of it really defines you. So you take the best, leave the rest. A really awesome guy I know who works between the worlds, and he's my spiritual bodyguard, he says, talks about the fact that, what did he say? It's really, this is about us being in a place where, it's totally left my head, so it'll come in later, but this is about us really being in a place where we let ourselves acknowledge we're not here to just be one thing and not another. And when you let yourself stop judging you and the world and just get curious, what are you learning from everything you're encountering? And what if you, instead of negatively anticipated something and clenched yourself against something, you're able to go, okay, I'm anxious, I feel reservation, I'm going to lean into this, I'm going to accept that's how I feel. And it's the process of choosing, seeing something isn't the way you'd like it to be, and slowly dismantling it and creating something else, like with technology, that things can actually shift. We have to remember we are creating through our frequency all of the time. So if you're not getting what you want, that's because your subconscious doesn't want what your conscious mind wants.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, you figure out, you need to heal, figure out your healing, the steps to heal and manifestation, because we come here with these abilities. Manifestation. I mean, it's a no-brainer, apparently, for us. And it's easy to get wrapped up in the negativity, unfortunately, of life, because people, we're going through a bit of a spell here, and there's a lot of really angry people over there. I mean, me on the roads, love and light. I throw my love and light around, and just okay, love and light, get out of my way, love and light. I still throw it out there, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still, there's a lot of it out there.
There is. And you're talking about, we are meant to be born. I was just going to find one of the star maps to show you. Here we go.
Yeah, awesome.
So you're meant to be born, and wouldn't it be an amazing world? Let's co-create it now. Let's co-create the world where babies are born. First of all, they're conceived in love. They're wanted. We don't have to worry about trying for babies or finding out when we're ovulating. We know, right? And we're in a healthy relationship, and we have a deep longing to have a baby. And so we look after ourselves, we prepare, we grow this baby in love, we meet our fears, we know how to use our tools to transmute, fear into trust, and we work together to move through it. We've got a wonderful support team that really empower us and help us understand how to create the best birth outcomes, even though we can't control everything. And we learn how to let go of our own stories so they're not impacting our birth. We have this great experience. In fact, these kind of pregnancies, because I've seen them, the mother and the baby and the father and the baby are so deeply connected that these babies are born. So they're just born intact, right? The parents have got their soul connection. So that means that the baby has the soul connection. Even if you've had a medicalized birth or pregnancy, things didn't go the way you wanted, they have the consciousness to heal and repair it. And that's the point, is we have this throwing the baby out with the bathwater mentality. We go, well, that's it. It's ruined for life now. Like, no, in the quantum field, it isn't. You can actually make the change, you can imagine it into being, you can clear resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at, let's say, the world at large, the powers that be that you talked about, we can rule them against us, or we can go, you know what, they're hurt little children. They're all birth damaged. They're all traumatized post-war babies, right? They haven't dealt with any of their crap, so they're power hungry. They're greedy because they've got a lack wound. And I was them in a previous lifetime, and I'm now learning, because we all grow through the shadow to light. You don't get to be a saint unless you've been a sinner. I really believe that, whatever that means to people. And just imagine if they actually had a different story. And yes, perhaps it's possible that they are being influenced by non-physical entities, by whether we call them aliens, ETs, whatever we want, that are therefore making them their puppets because they're susceptible. They've got that desire to be controlled because of wherever they're at. Even if all that's going on, if I don't fear death because I know I'm an eternal being, even if my body dies, okay, I don't like the idea of being in pain and being hurt on purpose. I've got memories of that. It's not nice. But if I'm not scared, and fear is how we're controlled.
It's true.
Isn't it a different game we play?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have no time for the it has to be this way story. I'm like, go away, 3 or 4 more generations, lifetimes, let's talk again. Like, you're not ready to hear this. It's okay. But I'm not going to try and convince you because I don't need to. I'm over here building this world. Come when you're ready. It's fun. It's much more fun than when you are.
Yeah. No, I agree. Clifford says staying entirely aware, which produces maximum frequency mixed with ignoring the negative energies in the world, can be a challenge. Do you have any hints or tips?
Yeah. So I have a community. I'm going to share with you this star map, because this is kind of the foundation of everything else I do. And it is about how you live from your soul consciousness. So to answer that question, it is a daily, I don't want to call it battle because I don't want to energize battle or challenge. It's a daily focus.
Yeah.
My words are powerful. They're spells, as are yours, as all of us, to choose what I'm going to energize and look for evidence of. Now, I'm blessed. The way I have created my life today by design is I don't spend a lot of time in that other world. I live in Peacehaven, the south of England. I have, my personal paradise around me presently. I have good people in my life. They're all soul family. I'm self-employed on purpose. This has been my path, my choice to pick and choose the world I go into. So when you decide you have choice, your life can radically change. And you don't have to go through horrendous hardship. You just choose that you don't want to be in a world that brings you down, right? So therefore, what's really important is to then pay attention to what brings you into a better state of your being. For some people, it's meditation, dance, whatever your thing is, right? And then to notice what takes you up, what keeps you neutral, what takes you down. And who also. So yeah, we know bloodline, family stuff, karma, drama, often challenging relationships. Some people cut themselves off. That might be the necessary part for some time. But the important thing is to make the choice, to use the power you have to take choices where you can. And it's really only wherever you felt most powerless that you learn where your power is, right? You have that challenge will tell you, because yes, we can be psychologically manipulated. We know that. But equally, when you decide to claim it back and you call in that guidance to lead you, you just have to get out of your way again and again, right? So that leads me to this. This is my tip for you. Okay, was it Max that asked the question?
Where was it? No, it was. Let me come back to it. Cliff.
Cliff, sorry, Cliff.
Right there.
Yeah,
yes, right there. Yes. There we go.
In simple, I take people through a 6-month process around this. If it's of interest, I'll give you the websites and stuff. You can check it out later. But really, the first step is choose to put your soul in control. Every day, start your day. I'm putting my soul in control. Meet a problem, put your soul in control, right?
Yeah.
because your soul is going to take you to higher thoughts, higher emotions, rather than your ego programming, which is literally get me out of this fearful place that seems scary to me, which is often a magnified, imagined danger over a real one, right? So put your soul in control. Next thing, get clear on what you want. What's your intention? What do you want in this situation? And why do you want it? When we say, I want to win, we go, well, why do you want to win? Because that'll make me feel more powerful. Okay, is that really coming from your soul? Where's that coming from? Okay, I want to be understood. I want to create harmony. I want to create resolution. I want to have the experience of being loved so I can really know what that feels like and I can give love. Just be clear, have a dialogue with you and know there's no wrong answer, but you want to get curious, but why, but why, but why? What is this about really for you? So you can have an honest dialogue with yourself, because you can't have an authentic relationship with the world if you don't have one with you, the voices in you. The third element is conscious mind alignment. So it's how can I help myself? So let's just say I want a healthy relationship with someone, but all I have is images all around me of guns and single women or single men, morose poses, one of everything. I'm kind of not really setting myself up to, let's have love hearts and pillows and nice warm things. And what would be receptive? What would make me go, oh, right? So you change what you can change.
Mm-hmm.
You want to live a healthier life, start with drinking an extra glass of water a day. You can do that. Small things that you can see you're winning with. And then when you go through the days where you don't do the thing you said going to, be kind to yourself. I forgive myself for this. I accept myself. I accept my resistance. And in this moment, I'm choosing to make a different decision. It's all of those bits. That's in your conscious control. That's only 5% of your power here, right? Mm-hmm. So then you have subconscious detox, which is the main bulk of my work, right? And it's, okay, we have our personal epigenetic stories, our inherited trauma and inherited gifts. We have soul memories. We have bloodline memories. We then have what we lived through. So our own conception, pregnancy, birth, first 7 years of life where we left to cry. All that stuff plays a huge part in whether we feel life loves us or not. So going through a subconscious detox is really accepting that there's the personal stuff you've been through. There's ancestral stuff you've been through. There's soul memory stuff you've been through. And then there's also the societal stuff. The patriarchal paradigm programming, the matriarchal, so the relationship to the masculine, the relationship to the feminine, all of the fear programming, all of the pain programming. Oh, you're in pain, have a painkiller. Oh, do this, numb out, whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. Then you go into guilt, blame, shame, judgment, and then you go into lack. These are layers. This is something I learned through my teacher. I trained in it. I embodied it. I work in a slightly different way because I work with the physical as well as the energetic. It's so important to move through ourselves, these things, and clear them. And through accepting that there are things beyond your control and they massively influence how you perceive the world, you choose to go through a system you trust with someone who can guide you, because we all of us starseeds love to do things on our own. There's a trust wound. And of course, the marketing online, everyone promising the world, how can you possibly trust, especially if you've paid a lot of money out and you've had a crap experience? It's like, well, how do I know that's not going to happen again? And it's all about how you reframe and you learn from experience, right? In this instance, it's like, I actually can't see my own blind spots. I have to trust myself enough to choose someone I feel safe and comfortable with that can lovingly show me what I can't see, just reflect it to me. And that way you will be able to see where you're getting in your own way, and that all does change. And then where it leaves you is the last two steps. So the fifth one is blind spot discovery and fine tuning, and that's when you get to see how your current consciousness is getting in the way. So let's say you've done retraining, you do your tapping, your EFT, you've been on a detox of your beliefs, you've retrained. Now you've got to look at, okay, what words am I saying today? Where's my focus? Am I on the lack of what I want? Like, I'll give you an example, this event for tomorrow, right? When I work with people in a one-to-one capacity, I'm like $10,000, $15,000. I work one-to-one at a very high level with people monthly, right? And this is a very, very low cost offering. And it's been so interesting how few people have taken it up. And I've been like very curious about it. Now, I've had to really look at where's my energy. Am I focusing on the lack? Am I opening to the possibility and saying, I wonder what's coming from this that I haven't perceived, right? I wonder, how am I going to tell myself this story so that I can see that it's teaching me valuable stuff. There's no failure. I'm making better and better decisions, but I have to look at what am I energizing? What's coming out of me and what's coming back? And when you've cleared your subconscious programming to enough of a degree, you don't have so much of that backlog of, I set this in motion a while ago, now it's catching up with me. It's much faster, right? So you get to kind of be in the energy of now. And through learning not to beat yourself up or the world through your current consciousness and pulling yourself back from those old narratives that play out when something doesn't go how you expect, rewriting that narrative in the moment, calling in the guidance to see it through the best way that's going to empower you. That then leads you to step 6, which is self-mastery. Is when you literally go, all right, I'm going to own my desire. I really want this experience. But I'm also going to trust that if it's not for me, I won't have it. So give me this or something better. Highest good of all, win, win, win. And you trust in divine timing. You just work on your own frequency. You own when you feel impatient, when you feel doubt. You keep moving it through you. To me, this is how we live as ascended masters. This process, like, it allows us to create the new world while the old world is coming down around us. We're building the scaffolding of the new world around the old one. And now it feels to me there's enough of the build in place that the more of us hold the vision of the new one, the old one's just coming down.
Living, like I agree, especially when it comes to the intention. It's say what you mean what you say, follow through, be very specific. Right? Yeah. And putting aside ego. Yeah. So
what is ego to you? How do you describe ego?
Well, I think it comes down to, when you speak from a place of the heart with good positive intention, or are you just speaking because I just want it? But why? Yeah. Why do you want it? Is it a control thing, or is it a need thing, or is it just a want thing, or do you want it for someone else? I find also that some people just can't come out of the negative conditioning because there's so much of it everywhere that it's really hard to break free of it. We cannot control what goes on around. I can't control what you do. I can't control what you do. I can't control what you do. But I can control how I perceive it, and I can control how I react to it and what I do with it, because it's me.
Exactly. Right. And the way you describe the ego is beautiful as well, because I always love to check in with people and like, what do you mean? Because sometimes, we have different conditioning around it. And it's like, am I coming from self-preservation, or am I coming from the space of seeking connection, right? Because they're two different things.
Yeah.
And what you just spoke about was the hologram of the illusion of the fear matrix. I say it's an illusion because it's an illusion that's been brought into physicality because we have energized it so much, right? So if we decide to make it an illusion now and energize the sovereignty grid, the divine matrix, that becomes our reality. As you said, it's so true. Let's just say you're just at the start of this journey, or you've had some real hardship in your life, and you really, really want things to be different, but you just can't help but buy into the lack narratives, the struggle narratives, the fear narratives. You haven't cleared. There's not enough. Most people are trying to clear through their conscious mind, and you can't. You every hour of your day doing it that way, you can only control it for 6 minutes. That's the maximum amount of time. 10%, right? So in a way, the way we get our control is to realize we don't have that control, and that's where seeking a methodology out that will help you to clean that up so that the back end relates to the front end. Slowly it does happen. I mean, I didn't wake up one day and suddenly it was all perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's remember that I would honestly say the first 40 years of my life were pretty shit. I'm sorry for swearing, but like it was I was not.
Yeah.
I had to really seek the light, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happened was I did seek the light again and again and again. I made the choices that allowed me to face the challenges I had and to keep asking for more of it.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, that worked for me. Others need more support. If you're really in fight, flight, freeze, fawn, you've got to, the ability to calm the baseline physical nervous system is key. So what is in your control is turning off the stuff that you can, that is eroding. Praying is gratitude, right? Giving thanks for the light. It's how I feel like the more of us that do and can and learn to give from our overflow rather than our reserves, model it, because we're making a big shift from the patriarchal paradigm was a self-sacrifice paradigm. What we were taught about Christ was he died for our sins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he did, actually. I don't feel at all like that's the story that this Christed consciousness brought forward, but we know the establishment likes to distort the truth. Sorry if that offends anyone, but that's how I feel about it, right? And in the end, it's like, okay, so if that was the time of self-sacrifice, the new era, it's like we're going, well, if I die in the process, how can I show you how to live in the new earth reality if I'm not here? So we're learning now that this time it's not about self-sacrifice. It's about embodiment and living by example. The more of us who can and do, we have a ripple out effect like a pebble in water that will literally flash support everyone who can't, who feels like they're drowning. It just pulls them out of the depths of those waters. So that's how I see us building the bridge from the old to the new in that sense.
So here's this is a good point. This is, of course, referring to a comment that Tamara made, but he said, why are we enduring this in the first place? Where is the consent or free will?
Ask yourself that. Where is the consent of free will? I mean, why did we choose to come here? Apparently, it's not so easy to incarnate on Earth. When a lot of the wonderful beings who do a lot of past life regression and talk to people's soul consciousness will say, like, souls are queuing up to be born here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why?
Yeah, so much so that there's this belief that there are actually soul traps, and people believe that there are step-ins. You look at somebody who's been in a coma, let's say, and comes out, because I personally, I'm not a believer in when you're asleep at night, you just stay there. It's like sleeping in your car in the garage. It doesn't make any sense. You take off, we travel, because what we're naturally able to do. But people, let's say in a coma, in the same situation, they've said, oh yeah, I've traveled and I've come back, but they're not just there, but there are times when something else steps in and they come out of it and they don't even know who their spouse is. They don't remember anything. They don't know anybody around them is.
Mm-hmm.
And the family's just like, we do not know this person.
Well, you talk about walk-ins, right? And I think I was laughing because I recently ended up on the cover, like a little photo on a short. This is like one of the mainstream magazines, Fate and Fortune, right? And in the UK, it was so funny how it happened. And they gave me a page, literally talking about my earliest life, and it was about out of this world. So I'm a space oddity, and Rosanna RozyGlow Hanness apparently is my name, right?
Oh boy.
I thought it was quite funny considering the name of your show as well. But the point was, this was about astral travel, and it was about leaving my body as a kid. I've been on spaceships, all sorts of things that happen in a dream state, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not that kind of channel that will give you the details of a lifetime from 356,000 years ago. That I don't have that. That's not where I am yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just not what I've activated. But the simplicity of the messaging that comes through coming back to that question, why be here in all this lack of free will and all the rest of it? As I said before, you never really learn how powerful you are until it feels as though you have no power. And yes, are there non-player characters? Are there ETs in human form walking the earth? You know, there's so many things. I go on the basis that it's all happening, right? If we can conceive it, it's happening. So what do I want to energize? Where do I want to go with this? And if we are, as you say, leaving our bodies at night, astral, you know, going on adventures, are we doing planetary service? Probably, yeah.
I feel exhausted the next day after a good sleep. I know I've been out working.
Yeah.
I come back, I'm just like, God, I just need to sleep for another 8 hours. You know, I think you know when you're out doing things, you know?
Yeah. So then when we talk about this experience of walk-ins and, you know, comas and people coming back, and even when you have like organs donate, you know, people have organ donation and they have the memory of the cell memory of the person who died, etc. I think it's fascinating. And I've learned, I can only share my experience to this point and what feels resonant. Yes, I'm claircognizant. Yes, I'm clairsentient. Yes, my clairaudient and clairvoyant, you know, senses are coming more and more online. And this has happened over time, not because I've become this perfect light being, but because I've accepted more and more of my shadow, right? So to me, it feels like for all of humanity now, the name of the game is remember the power you have. And the Dalai Lama talked about being, you know, if you fear you're too small to be powerful, try spending a night with a mosquito in your bedroom. And it just, I love that saying, right? Because it's like, that little mosquito is powerful, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Do we want to be powerful?
Yes. I think, you know, in essence, in speaking about shutting out the outside negativity and creating that safe space where it is your little piece of heaven, as I call it, you know, where it's just exactly the way you want it. You know, yeah. I mean, it seems like everything that you do centers again around birth and rebirth. So let's talk, you know, this invitation to StarPeace. Let's talk what the core of StarPeace is.
I would love to. And I think you've just touched beautifully on something. You've talked about your bit of heaven, right? What I call a personal paradise.
Yes.
So for all of us to reclaim the power of the words I am and what we say after them is really important, right? Because we're speaking into reality everything that we say after those words. So one of my favorite I am statements that I say every day is, I am co-creating my personal paradise with grace and with ease, in alignment with the win-win-win in everything and the highest good of all. For me, that's like, okay, I get carte blanche. What do I want for myself? Let me own it. And I want StarPeace. I want to see this planet reflect what I know has happened in my version of the universe and what I've been told through my higher consciousness. And it was a male voice. Maybe that's the patriarchal concept of the God, the divine, right? That in our universe, peace was declared, right? There's an intergalactic council that speak through me as the StarPeace Collective. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that channels them, but they come through me. And they come through the frequency of grace that I call RozyGlow, power of revelation. So it'd be really interesting to know how everyone's heard what we've said tonight, what's popped, and, you know, what's kind of like, oh, yeah. So basically, my version of a personal paradise is seeing on earth everyone wake up to their power and choosing to put our differences aside and to unite towards a common goal rather than against a common enemy. This is the start of the little girl Rosanna that wanted to see how we could move beyond this constant duality game, right? So StarPeace starts with this idea that it's like source, all that is, the creator aspect of our being, wiped away the old game of duality in our universe, a chess game, like literally wiped the chessboard clean. and instead passed down all of these cosmic puzzle pieces. So now we each have a piece of the divine in our hearts, the button that is the puzzle piece, that is me, my divine blueprint, my purpose in this life, yours. They're all unique, they're encoded, unique barcodes, right? This is us. And the name of the game is find your adjoining puzzle pieces. And don't worry about getting on with everyone, because there are people on the other side of the puzzle that you're going to feel totally like polar opposites, but they're still they're necessary. They're holding polarity to allow unity, actually. Because unity doesn't mean there isn't night and day. It just means we're not judging one as good and the other as bad. It's the judgment that is the precursor to separation, duality, and struggle. Right? And it's in every think of it how it's in religion. So the premise of StarPeace, and there is a website called StarPeaceConsciousness.com, which has the StarPeace manifesto on it. It's got one of the star maps, the 6 fuel shifts, which I've got here as well. And it's basically saying, do you want to subscribe to this idea? It's completely free to subscribe to it. You don't have to do anything. You're just putting your name down saying, yeah, I'm up for this. You know, if we know Star Wars, they've made so many movies out of it, series, everything. It's the same frigging battle. Don't we want to know what's beyond that? Well, I do. So what happens in a world where we've stopped warring and we decide instead to choose to create something new from old, wherever we find challenge? And this birthed for me in the book this 3-pronged formula for peace that is based on my knowledge, my wisdom in what I've learned since I was 14 years old. So a while, right? I think if I do the math, 22 years, no, 14, 24, 34, 40, 34 years. Okay. So the main thing is there's 3 things that will make a difference to everybody, right? One is what you focus on grows. So the StarPeace 3-pronged formula for peace starts with the idea of a viral shift in consciousness, a viral movement that takes people away from focusing on the problem to focusing on the solution. We all decide we're going to stop energizing the lack and problems in our lives, and we're going to seek solution. The way we talk, the things we share on our social media channels, there's a whole load of ways you can do that. That's on the website, okay? And yes, absolutely. Well, free will, we don't even need to strive for it. It's in us. We choose it. I am choosing to honor my free will. And absolutely, we become advocates for those who don't have the choice to speak for themselves. But it's having free will and choosing through that free will to bring our highest consciousness through us, to live by that example. That's this shift in focus, right? The next thing, so that problem to solution focus is the viral concept that we can all participate in. It's the click of a button that says, I'm going to post this, not that. You know, I'm going to show evidence in my world of how things are changing rather than how they're staying the same. That's the choice we have. The second element is a narrative rewrite. Okay, so this is how we deal with the symptom and start to address the causes. 2 elements, problem solution focus. And the second one is narrative rewrite, which is where entertainment comes in. And it's a massive shift in our awareness around what we watch, what we listen to, what we read, and how it makes us feel. Because we all have a subconscious addiction to adrenaline. That's why we're wired to survive rather than thrive. It comes from our time in the womb. It can be as simple as mum watching scary movies when she's pregnant because she gets a hit off the adrenaline, and we get into it and we're adrenaline junkies. I mean, it's something that we all talk about, right? Excitement, anxiety, it's really how you perceive it as to how you experience it, right? So this element of conscious, or what I would call positive brainwashing, comes from what we watch, listen to, and read, being able to say, okay, this is how you can therapize the world. It's teach them how to move from problem to solution through entertainment. Take them from the problem to the solution, as we said, right? I've watched a really interesting series as an example of a lawyer who gets pulled into a cartel, and so he is the lawyer for the cartel, and of course he keeps being put in terrible situations and he ends up killing everyone. But the interesting thing is how he uses mindfulness. So you're getting taught to meditate in this series. It's hilarious, right? It's not denying, you know, things that go on in the world. It's how you manage it. It's so funny. And that's what I mean is we're not going to all become like, we creatively meet ourselves in the darkness and choose to bring light to it, whatever that means to each being. And that's how you can kind of deal with the now, the therapizing the collective now. But the deeper element is actually this epigenetic trauma and how we create a global shift in consciousness through an overhaul of maternity services, fertility services. Think about like nurseries, schools, daycares, that kind of thing, right? How do we teach conscious parenting to the whole world so that we can actually parent ourselves, our inner family, our inner child in a way that we weren't parented, and therefore change the dynamic for the world? And when we do, this is coming. And so it's not like I work with the imagination primarily. The book, I say, is it fiction? Is it real? You make your mind up. The scientists don't know what to do with me because I'm talking about stuff and they're like, yeah. But then she's being quirky and weird and new agey and woo-woo, and they don't really know what to do with it. And then the star seeds, the woo-woo, they love it, but they're like, what's all this birth stuff she's talking about? It's like, it's all relevant, right? It's all relevant. So when you combine a recognition of our origins, whether we call it ancestral trauma healing, personal early imprints healing, with what we choose to expose ourselves to and how that's impacting us, whether it's making us supporting the nervous system dominance of oxytocin, of love. So we are wired to thrive rather than survive. Very different way you see the world. The two things, the entertainment and the birth stuff, and then the shift in focus from problem to solution in any moment, those three things bring us into alignment with creating peace on earth. And a big part of it, I work with a lot of DJs, a lot of, you know, music. And this is one of the things we're going to be doing tomorrow, cosmic line dancing. The Maharishi Institute, and I say it in the book, talked about how when you get the square root of 1% of the population focusing on a specific intention, it will impact the whole world. We're talking about figures between 10,000 people and 1 billion in terms of how we would hit the target numbers for critical mass, right? Now, I think we all know, if you've heard of Lynn McTaggart and the field and the intention experiments she's done, when we hold intention all around the world at the same time on a specific focus, it impacts things. You can scientifically measure it, right? What if you bring movement into it? And the best example I can give of this is why soldiers are told not to march over bridges. Do you know much about this? Have you looked at it before?
No.
So basically, their stride, their march can basically get into the frequency of the natural frequency of the bridge, and it can collapse the bridge. So that you can,
Oh, I did not know that.
So what if we flip that? What if we actually danced in a rhythmical movement with the same intention, listening to the same music, singing the same words, and built up a resonance in the field that activates the divine matrix, the sovereignty grid, free will, as so many people have been saying tonight. And we had huge global parties, dance parties all around the world, like peace parties on the streets, where it's televised around the world, right? And actually take it another level. It's connected to the ley lines. It's connected to all the undergrid, the networks that connect all of the sacred sites. We literally turn things around. We can create peace in one generation. One generation. This is what it takes. And we have the power, and this is a big reason why our capacity to speak out, to take to the streets, to gather in numbers was massively curtailed and has been for a while, right? We know this. It doesn't mean that, well, I'm going to say this cautiously. When we use our free will, right, and we're not fearful, things shift.
They do shift. What about frequency? You know, there's a lot of man-made frequencies out there because we live in the world of technology. So that emits its own frequency. That's probably the best way I could put it out there. Don't get myself flagged. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that tends to also come into play, because it does not jive with our frequency or
Absolutely.
our vibration, I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, it's both, isn't it? It's vibrational frequency and resonance and entrainment and all these terms that I've come across through my yoga training and also through my pregnancy work. But scientists will talk about, in a different way. However, it's the same thing. We're just expressing it in different ways. So I just picked up my orgonite, which my husband, bless him, he builds your dreams, right?
Yeah.
We have Wi-Fi all over the house, right? We do. We've got all of the stuff, right? But we also have crystals and crystal grids all over the house and orgonite. And I feel we have the power to neutralize any opposing force, whether it's out there, under there, in our water. Like, we just have to choose to get out of the why are they doing this story and go, what can I do? Let me do that.
Yeah, because you can't control the fact that it's all out there. So you can only control what you do with it.
Exactly. And you could also, I did a little series of co-creation meditations a while ago, and they're on my RozyGlow website. So it's called the Cosmic Cleanup Crew. And it was a series of meditations to move us from fear to empowerment. And one of them I called from 5G to 5D. And it was how there was a lot of fear, obviously, in the collective around what was happening and how it's going to be used. I'm like, what if we took this to another level? And imagined, instead of it being used against us, it's being used by us to bring in frequencies we otherwise would never be able to earth. And anything that could be used against us can actually be used for us. So it's the energy we come, because if there's outer frequency disturbance, there's inner frequency disturbance. And yeah, most of the stuff going on in the world today is not naturally occurring. It's man-made. We know that. Is it the first time? Did that happen in Atlantis as well? Yeah, probably.
Apparently, some will tell you that was the downfall. So, I don't know.
Do we not need to? There's a really cool movie with Keanu Reeves. What was it called now? The man. He was an alien sent to this planet to destroy the planet, right?
The day the Earth stood still.
Exactly.
Klaatu, and yes.
Yes. And it was the remake, wasn't it?
Yes.
So do we not have to go right to the edge before we make a choice that's different to what we knew? It's the edge of your comfort zone. We're all there now. It's another choice point. It's like, are we going to go down the route we've done before, which just means we disappear because the planet ain't? Or do we decide to make a different choice, to go left instead of right? And every one of us who just in this now moment, now, every listener, make your choice. Now, which way are you going? Are we going down the road we knew, which is destruction, or are we going down a new road? 1,000 years of peace. I want to feel that here on this earth. I want a cosmic party, baby. I want to know what it's like to wake up every day and be like, wicked, no wars, love it, right? We're in a place where we're all in balance and harmony. We have problems and we seek solution. Love it. Today I get to say, I'm wealthy, I am healthy, I'm happy, I'm in love. Who can I support to get there? That's my joy.
Yeah, it's mindset. Absolutely. So let's finish off with this. AI.
AI, right. So yeah. So I think it's the last chapter of this book. Chapter 39, I think I say, the future could be AI. Absolutely incredible. And never in a million years, my daughter's like, Mom, I never thought you would take this stance, because I was in my 20s and 30s, I was against everything, the toxins, everything was an enemy, right? I'm like, okay, how can this be a good thing? My take is this. We keep talking, those of us who are in the ascension pathway, of reactivating the 10 strands of our DNA that put us into a 12-strand frequency, right? And we also told that those 10 strands are crystalline rather than carbon. Now, I'm being simplistic, but AI is silica-based, right? So there's this potential that actually this organic versus inorganic matter isn't the name of the game at all. It's what unites the two. And if what unites us and tech, AI, machines is crystalline, then isn't it in there that we get to go, what am I going to do with this? So there's a part of me that feels AI could be us from the future, both in the positive and the negative sense. But equally, I remember hearing a really interesting talk with the guy that's the diary of the CEO about how ultimately it's down to parenting. If AI is parented negatively versus positively, it's going to have a different outcome, right? And I literally believe if we're dealing with a machine versus machine reality, we need the positive AI to keep the not so positive in check, right? And if we go just on the principle of density versus, higher frequency, the higher frequency will always penetrate density. So in that sense, the light will always win. If of equal strength, the light will always win eventually, right? Do we want wars? Oh, sorry, I keep using that word. I don't mean to, but do we want to have, conflict in a machine world? I don't want to create that reality. Do you?
Absolutely not. Unfortunately, there's, you already have. I think they're much more further advanced than what we're led to believe. And there's a strong belief that, through things like Wi-Fi and energy, because we are ourselves energy, that it's just another tool just to sort of take us off course.
Which it may well be, absolutely. Yeah. And here's the difference. If I plug into my soul every day, and I choose to plug in, switch on, call in the divine, I'm in a different frequency to the me who doesn't. And I'm much more easily manipulated and controlled if I've got my fear goggles on versus my love goggles. So I've got to make the choice. Which virtual reality headset am I putting on?
Yes. No, I agree. So what is your thought on this in closing? Again,
in closing, I feel it's important that we actually do the inner work to clear our fears, to meet our fears. We've all watched Terminator. I always saw that as a kid, right? And it's like, okay, how bad does it need to get? I don't want to create that reality. So what good could come from this? That's the question. What good can come from this?
Yes.
We're already hybrid humans. You know, I personally have made choices. I haven't had certain things that other people have, but in the end, I'm not going to look to separate. I'm going to look to unite.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And my consciousness is not my body. Let's remember that.
Yes. Bear with me. I'm just putting this back up again because I'd like to just give you a moment to advertise this again. So where can everybody come and sign up for this or join? What's the process?
So essentially, RozyGlow, ROZY. So I know you've got it here as XY, but it's ZYGLOW. If you go to the StarPeaceConsciousness.com website, you can sign up there. You can also go any of my socials, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, RozyGlow. Just put RozyGlow, you'll find it. It's everywhere. I've been talking about it for weeks, and the sign-up link is starpeaceConsciousness.com/global-peace-event. That's it. Okay. And if you want to join us tomorrow, I've included in this $20 offer the masterclass that's the light up your light body masterclass that will help everybody to have the upgrade. So even if you catch that afterwards, it's still going to really help you, because the peak is from the 8th to the 12th, but we're continuing. The energy is going to keep building up at least until Samhain, until the 31st of October. Even longer is how I'm seeing it, right?
Wow.
So, we're in a time, those of us who are here with this starseed purpose, we're receiving one upgrade after another. So the name of the game is Stabilize, and then you'll get your next mission should you choose to accept it. Stabilize, next mission, Stabilize. So if you're vibing with what I'm saying, this is part of your mission. Come and join us. Like, you can reach me through rozyglow.com, starpeaceconsciousness.com. The fastest way right now is going to be through that through the URL link. Do you need me to give it to you somewhere? Because we can obviously put it in the chat.
I actually put it in the chat. It's also in the show write-up as well.
Sweet.
And I've been flashing it up. So people could go into the chat room and just click on it, or go into the show description on wherever you happen to see it, and just click on your website, and there it goes. So yeah.
Come if you can join us tomorrow and you feel the call, come and join us in real time. I always do pre-work, the event, and follow-up. I'm a teacher. This is what I do. It's about integrating what you call in, right? So this is the starting point of so many other things. If you want to know more about the coaching, more about the book's all over Amazon. You can get it anywhere in the world right now. You know, whet your appetite, see what you're about, reach out. Me or my team will be able to get back to you. People who are serious about wanting to take deep inner work forward steps. I offer a complimentary call, a desire mapping call, which you can find through rosyglow.com, and that will just take you to where you're ready next, right? So I work primarily one-to-one behind the scenes. People don't really know what I do because I work with the few that influence the many. But recently my mission also changed to work with the many who influence the few, which is why I put this forward in the world. So if you're a light leader, you're a system buster, you're an activist, you're a therapist, a coach, someone who's helping to lead the way into the new world, this is for you. And I can't wait to connect with you.
So there's something for everyone.
Yeah.
I love it.
StarPeace, baby. It's for everyone.
See, Mark's also from the UK. Another champ.
I love that. Pow, 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 pow.
I know. Woohoo! Here we are.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It was just a lot of fun and so much information. I think it's great, and I hope that you'll come back even on Beyond the Outer Realm. We talked about that as well.
Yeah, let's do an uncut. Let's do a raw, a raw element. That'd be so cool. And thank you for having me on the show, Michelle. It's been such a joy to connect with you, and thank you for the service you are offering to the world. It's really powerful.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, everyone, it is that time. We're almost at the top of the hour. So thanks to everybody in chat, new faces and old. We appreciate you so very much. And thank you to our sponsors, Folgers Coffee, Justin Snickers, Steve McGinnis. We've been broadcasting live on United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Tomorrow, or I guess I should say next week. Look at me. I just one day just kind of rolls into the next. Beyond the Outer Realm, Christine Francis Poe joins us, and she's going to be talking about everything angels, readings, numbers, purpose, guardians, you name it. We're going to be covering it. Wednesday welcomes Sir Brian Bowden, and we are going to be having a very in-depth discussion about dogmen. Yes, I've been asked. So there it is. Dogman. Wow. Yeah, it's going to be good. Thursday welcomes the return of a dear friend all the way from Ireland, Kevin Dermot O'Doherty, another night owl. I wanted to do that show. Brilliant. I know, he's awesome. So he's going to be talking about his new book, Encounters on the Edge of the Etheric. So it's going to be fascinating. And until then, guys, have a good weekend. Please be safe, and we'll see you all next week. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you for